can't come to this beautiful island and not get touched by the incredible history of this place. From Port Arthur over on the east coast to the convict island of Sarah Island on the west coast, to the villages that you drive through nearly every hour or so. It's just fantastic. And today we're at Richmond and the oldest convict-built bridge in Australia. It's a fabulous structure, showing the wear and tear of the age, but still standing and still being used. It's fantastic. I love it. We're off to Hobart to find out all about Tasmanian distilling and all things whisky.
So here we are on Ron Moon's four-wheel drive tour of Tasmania, as I like to call it. But there was no point in coming down here without checking out one of the other things I love, and that's whiskey. And here we are at Lark Distillery with Michael Blake. And Michael, tell us a little bit about distilling whiskey in Tasmania.
Well, it's a short but interesting history. We here at Lark we were the very first kind of distillery in the modern era. We only started in 1992 though, so as an industry we're only 27. But a lot's happened in a pretty short time now.
And that's because prior to that time that you couldn't distill whiskey here, is that right?
Yeah, you couldn't distill anything in small kind of batches. Just with the law as it was really difficult to have a kind of craft distillery, which is the kind of distilling that we do. Yeah, luckily our founders, Bill and Lynn Lark, decided that they wanted to start a whiskey distillery and got the law changed.
Well, that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So this is the first part of the whiskey production process, and this is actually beer, and as you know I quite like beer. It's an interesting beer, it's very citrusy. What happens next?
What we do with that next is we run it through our stills, we distill it. What happens to it through the distillation process is you tasted that beer, it had all that flavour in it, all that citrus stuff and a lot of flavour from the barley that we used in the first place as well. What distillation does is it kind of just crams all of that flavour even further into something. It really concentrates flavour as well as alcohol. So we actually run it through two stills. Yeah. Goes through the first one, comes out about 30% alcohol and kind of not tasting very amazing. So we run it through another still, comes out at about 70%. And is tasting much better. Okay. So you do end up with a white spirit. I'll give you a little taste of some.
Yep. Whoa. Well, that certainly tastes like alcohol. It does not taste like whiskey.
Yeah, you can see why it goes into a barrel for 6 years.
Absolutely. It's yeah, it's different.
Once distilled, the spirit is aged in oak barrels and then blended under the direction of their head distiller. Then once it is deemed to be perfect, it is bottled, labelled and dispatched to their retailers.
And now, as you said, there's like some 50 odd distillers in Tasmania.
Yep, there's a lot going on.
So Lark's created a whole industry, it's amazing.
Although really tempting, we can't hang around here forever, so it's time to hit the track again for some typical Tassie adventures.
Ron, we've just driven up this suburban street and we're in the bush all of a sudden. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, it's a bit like that, isn't it? You come up through the back roads of the suburbia and you end up on the Montrose Fire Trail, which climbs up the range, right up to the top of Mount Wellington. Okay. So it's a fabulous way to get to the top of Mount Wellington. However, it is closed to the general public and you need a permit. And when you get the permit,
you get the key.
You get the key.
That's it. Well, we got the key, mate, so let's hit the track. Bit bumpy, better drop some air out of the tyres, I think.
It's always preferable to drop tyre pressures on rough, rocky trails. It makes it easier on the vehicle and any passengers. and gives you more grip if things get gnarly. This is the top little road or track up to the top of Mount Wellington, and it was put in back in the 1960s when bushfires ravaged the outskirts of Hobart, and they decided they needed a few fire trails up here to try and stop the spread of flames and all that sort of thing. So they put these trails in, and they're open for the public to use. So we'll just cruise up here and enjoy the drive. Tassie has it pretty well sorted, I reckon, for four-wheelers and obtaining access to selected areas. No big deal, just apply for the appropriate permit, and unless something unique is going on, you'll get the permit and be able to pick up the key when you require.
Hey, this is a pretty spectacular track, mate. It's a pity Shane had to bundy off and see his mates and miss out on it.
Yeah, that's true, but it's a great little track. I mean, it's not terribly difficult, but you get some amazing views. It's a good one to do.
Yeah, it's you got to, if you want to get to the top, you got to get out and do it on foot, don't you? But I think, nice steep country, quite rocky and stuff, but well graded, but spectacular country.
We slipped through this tight area where they'd been doing some trail work, but I wasn't careful enough.
We just got a flat tyre on Ron's truck after we gone through a little bit of track where there was some star pickets up and some witches' hats. Gone now. Too late, mate. Leave it there. Ron split the inside of the sidewall on one of his back tyres, so we've just had to pull up and swap the tyre. And while we were there was a couple of scorpions we found lying on the ground, and we were a bit wary of lying around trying to jack up the vehicle. Anyway, we're all sorted and we're back on the east-west trail. So once we get off this east-west trail, do we hit Jeffrey's track, is that right?
Yeah, we do. We hit Jeffrey's track, and that takes us down to a short stretch of bitumen, and then we do forestry trails from there down to Cockle Creek.
Brad.
Yeah, mate.
So how does driving that six-wheeler along tracks like this compare to driving your four-wheel drive 200?
There's not a lot of difference, mate. You got a little bit more traction and a little bit more weight, but it doesn't seem to worry us.
It's not a case of being any wider or anything to squeeze through tight tracks, is it?
Same width. It's 7 metres long, not probably 5, so you got to be aware of that on some of those tight corners, but it tracks pretty well. And I've had it through some really narrow stuff where you just scrape at the sides and it hasn't bothered it.
And how does it go over like erosion humps and stuff like that?
Yeah, no problem. It's a little bit longer wheelbase, but I haven't hit anything yet, so.
There are some absolutely top spots to camp in Tassie, and we stumbled on this one, which was a cracker. And Dino showed off his lumberjack skills.
Alright, so here we got 4x4 Australia's Ford Ranger. Just been all sign written and stuff, looks bloody fantastic. And in that we've got an MSA drop slide and a 60 litre My Coolman fridge. Now the 60 litre fridge, as you'd expect, is full of beer. This one's got an optional cover on it. And we've got a bit of food in there as well. Some apples and Zambos and bananas. But most importantly, we've got some very, very cold beers in there. And they're cold because they've set the thing at 2 degrees. Come around here, it's got a very, very good display, tell you what temperature it is. You see this turbo button here. When it's hot, you hit turbo. It's a good name for it. And that runs the compressor a lot faster. So if your fridge is warm, you just plugged it in, whatever, you hit that and it cools it down really quick. And also, it cools it down really quietly. The compressor in this is amazingly quiet. It might be a bit hard to see in here. You've got an inlet there for AC, 100 to 240 volts, so in other words, plug into your power point. Over here, you've got a 12 volt DC inlet. You might go, well, hang on, the fridge is not plugged in. But there's another one up the other end of the fridge. So the reason they've done that is there's an optional accessory you can get, and that's a lithium battery that sticks to the side of the fridge. So if you don't have a dual battery system in your car, you can run it off the lithium battery for, I don't know, I think it's up to 18 hours or something for this kind of size fridge. Some other nifty things, there's a little USB outlet. So if you're running it off that thing and it's away from your vehicle, you can plug your phone or your iPad or whatever into the fridge itself and power your fridge. There's a couple other little features. It's got a bottle opener up this end, and there's another one around back here. There's a bottle opener up there. And the other thing I really like about this fridge is these handles. They're really tough handles. I've used the smaller version of this fridge previously, the 30 litre one, and this 60 litre one we've used on this trip in Tassie. And we've had days up to 40 degrees or whatever, and things been on 2 degrees all day and all night. There's another little thing, I might have to hopefully be able to find it pretty quick on my phone. Here we go, My Coolman app. Now I have previously Bluetoothed this fridge and the one I've got at home. There it goes. So as you can see, it says 2 degrees on the fridge, 2 degrees there. You can control it from your phone, and you can also monitor what temperature it's at, how much voltage is in your battery, and all sorts of stuff. It's a great fridge. I'm very impressed. The thing I like about it the most, other than keeping beer cold, is it's super quiet. You can hardly hear it even when it's running in full compressor mode. It's a great product. So Ron, I can't believe how close we are to Hobart.
Yeah.
We're at this amazing campground here, River's Edge campground near Lonavale.
Yep.
Far out. Look at this river here, it's just
beautiful,
fantastic.
isn't it? It's absolute classic. Somebody saw a platypus in there this morning.
Yeah?
But no, it's a great spot. So we're heading to Cockle Creek,
Okay.
which is the southernmost place you can drive to in Australia. So I thought, why not? We've got to go there.
Yeah.
But we'll take some forestry roads and go through to Tahini Airwalk. That might be open.
It was closed for a bit, wasn't it, because of fire and stuff? And
yeah, it got really knocked around. But when you come to Tassie, you really need to have a good map, a navigator, whatever your bent is, Garmin or Hammond or whatever. And then this book is a little classic. It just got a whole pile of bush tracks on it and some really tough four-wheel drive trails as well. That's a really good guide to get you around Tasmania, full of good ideas. So,
all right.
Yeah. You're easy. Spend a month down here if you wanted to. Easy.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
we've only got a couple of weeks and we're covering a fair chunk of the place. But there's a lot of little roads in there that we're not going to get to look at.
No, that's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Anyway, I guess we better hit the track, mate. Well, this area was impacted by severe bushfires about 14 months ago, something like that. And as you can see, there's a lot of damage being done, and this big tree's come down across the track. And while it's been bypassed, it's a bit tight, especially for those long rigs, those 6-wheel drive. So we'll see what happens. We're heading down to Cockle Creek, just going to go the back way through the forestry trails, but there's so much timber down and stuff like that, it's a real shame, and we've been turned back 3 times now. So now we're taking a main dirt road, and we'll get down to Gaveston, and we'll just see what happens after that. South of Gaveston and Dover, the road turns to a graded road, eventually passing along the edge of Richmond Bay. So we've just crossed little Cockle Creek and wandering out to the whale sculpture down here. We're at the southernmost road access in Australia, mate. Can't go any further south. By vehicle, you got the Great South West Coast Track and all that sort of stuff, which is a walking trail of 10 to 14 days. But as you can see, it's a pretty popular little camping area through here. Fabulous beaches and lots of history as well. So yeah, nice spot. I love it.
Yeah, right. So I can imagine we're here on a pretty nice day. It's about 21 degrees out there, but I imagine the weather can get quite woolly down here.
Yeah, you'd have to think so, wouldn't you? But these beautiful bays are really well protected. So this is where the early navigators, came and got water and all that sort of stuff back when Australia and Van Diemen's Land were being discovered and mapped and all that sort of stuff.
Awesome, mate.
This bronze sculpture at the road's end depicts a southern right whale calf, who are again returning to these protected bays with their mothers after being hunted nearly to extinction in the 1800s, when there were 4 whaling stations here at Cockle Creek. Early in 1792, Richmond Bay had been named by Dee Lagoon, and this great French navigator had established a research base and garden on the north side of the bay. In all, they spent over 7 weeks here, the first scientific study of Australia by Europeans. We backtracked to Cockle Creek and that southernmost road access marker. You'll find a walking trail here to the southernmost point of the Australian continent, but most of us just relaxed in this delightful spot. But there were just a few too many people around, so we shifted to quieter domains. One of our group took a wrong turn, which demanded a short winch recovery. Well, we got into here, Southport Lagoon, last night after checking out those beautiful beaches down near Cockle Creek. A bit too crowded down there for us, so we took the short 4-wheel drive track, rocky one but pretty easy really, into here. It's not the greatest camp, but still pleasant enough. And if you've got a canoe or a boat, you can access some delightful beaches around the lagoon to camp on. It's a nice spot, rich in bird life and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, pleasant place to spend an evening. Today, we've got to push on and head over to the west coast.
So Ron, you've brought us up to the Central Highlands of Tasmania, and well, what a spectacular outlook. We're at Dee Lagoon at the moment, where you found a fantastic campsite for us. What else is up here?
Well, there's a heap of waterways like this, mate. I mean, this is what Central Tasmania is known for. These are world-class trout fisheries. Beautiful rainbows, big brown trout, and fabulous campsites. Look, the road network around here is pretty easy, gravel roads and all that sort of stuff, so it's pretty easy to get around, and some enjoyable campsites to have a look at. And we're only, what, 3 or 4 hours out of Hobart, really.
Yeah, it's incredible how easy it is to get across this state. And some of the other lagoons up here, we're off to Bronte Lagoon a bit later on to have a look around there, and then what have we got going on next?
Well, we're going to head over to the west coast. We'll get to Queenstown this afternoon, and then wander down to beautiful Strahan and find a camp somewhere down there. But that's the plan anyway. Having said that, I mean, we arrived here yesterday. It was beautiful and sunny, and this morning...
Yeah, it's a bit misty and a bit chilly, but anyway.
Tasmanian sunshine, mate.
Yeah, I think when we get over the coast, it's meant to be sunny again, so we'll see how we go.
Our journey takes us across mountain heathlands and lakes as we head towards the rugged mountains surrounding Queenstown. The Iron Blow Lookout gives an expansive view of the mountains and the once mighty mine site, which was operational here for 100 years after gold and copper were discovered in 1883.
Ron, we've just come into Queenstown, and on the way here we've seen some spectacular scenery and been down some amazing windy roads and through the denuded hills and all that from all the mining. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, this place got started in the 1880s, and the big smelter that was operating here for, well, probably near 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, spewed out a lot of toxic gases and killed all the vegetation. I think that stopped in about 1988, 1990, somewhere around there, and the vegetation's coming back, and little old Queenstown is a bit more of a tourist town. Some great four-wheel drive tracks out of here as well. But the real creme de la creme of this place is the railway station and the AB Railway, which goes between here and Strahan. Fabulous little thing. If you've never done it, it's something everybody should do. It's great.
And is that a steam train, is it?
Yeah, a little steam train, and it's fantastic.
Okay, beauty.
Yeah, care, and we've got to get, everybody's gone around.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to get them all together, and then we'll head down to Strahan, mate.
I think we better have some lunch first.
Sounds
all right.
Let's go and find some. Strahan is the tourist capital of the West Coast, and there's a lot to see and do here apart from visiting the famous Morrison sawmill, where they still mill hewn pine salvaged from the lakes in the region. No sooner had we arrived at Macquarie Heads and we were lending a helping hand to an unlucky few. The Max Track's doing a splendid job. But we couldn't help ourselves and we were soon on the beach enjoying a short drive in the late afternoon. I don't think I've ever seen the beach this wide before, or so easy to drive on.
Well, Ron, we've come from the Highlands and been through Queenstown and then a beautiful twisty road down to Strahan, and had a little look around there at all the hue and pine sort of things going on, and now we're at Macquarie Heads here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a good couple of days, mate. We started off at Hobart, went up behind Mount Wellington on those four-wheel drive trails, and then had a fairly easy run, frustrating at times because of the number of trees down to Cockle Creek.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It was nice down there too,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
bloody beautiful beaches, mate. Fabulous camping. Camped at Southport.
Yeah, that was beautiful too.
Yep.
The southernmost drivable road in the country, basically.
Yeah.
And that my favourite thing would have to have been camping up there on Dee Lagoon though. That was just spectacular.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Great fishing up there if you're into fly fishing, mate. So, and then, like I said, down through Queenstown, historic Queenstown, and then into beautiful Strahan. Magic place. Lots of things to do there. Lots of things. You know, you'd really like to spend a few more days, but sadly we've got to push on to another adventure. In the next episode, we'll tackle some of the toughest four-wheel drive trails that Tasmania can offer, so don't forget to check it out.